Kunja Bihari. Gopi Chanavalapa. Gopi Chanavalabha Girivaradhare Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhare Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhare Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupara Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtodashadashi Srimad Bhai Charnaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtodashata Tritandiko Swami Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinata Shyama Kunna Radha Kunna Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Dwarkadam Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Dham Navadvipa Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Muna Maya Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Tulasi Devi Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembly devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembly devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembly devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschadya Desha Tarine. So, English or Deutsch? Who does not speak German? And wer spricht kein Englisch? Everyone? So, okay, then we speak in English. Thank you. And we need one translator for Kishori Kund. Mataji, please. Thank you. So let us hear a little bit of Srila Prabhupada's times in his preaching field from the Transcendental Diary of Harishauri Prabhu. And I open whimsically a new chapter of April 1976, 7th of April. And then Srila Prabhupada will speak also on Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto. We will hear of Prahlad Maharaj a little bit. April 7th. This morning we drove out well beyond the outskirts of Vrindavan village. At one point Prabhupada stopped the car and climbed out and began walking across the fields. As we meandered across the uneven fields, a local farmer, the owner of the land, came over to see us. Very respectfully he offered his pranams and told Srila Prabhupada in Hindi that he considered it a great honor for him and his family to have Prabhupada walk on his land. Prabhupada was very touched by the man's sentiment and mentioned the incident several times later on. He noted that in the West, if you treat without permission on someone else's land, they become angry and may even shoot you. How nice, he said, is a culture where the owner approaches and thanks you, considering himself to be blessed. So we heard that already, therefore we continue a few pages. Chapter 12, April 11th. We landed in Bombay at 10:30 a.m. to a big airport reception from devotees. The ISKCON Bombay devotees honored Srila Prabhupada with a lavish food bathing ceremony and Guru Puja on his arrival at Hare Krishna land. They do this every time he visits. The landscape is changing rapidly, with construction work steadily progressing. Srila Prabhupada was pleased to see that contractor EEC has already begun work. They have started the actual temple structure and will soon begin work precasting the domes. This evening, Prabhupada gave a long darshan that lasted until 8:30 p.m. April 12th. Prabhupada made a careful inspection of the entire building site before taking his walk on the beach. All the ground floor construction for the temple, the auditorium and the twin-towered guest house is finished. As usual, Dr. Patel joined us. Their discussion was lively. Srila Prabhupada told him about our recent application for 350 acres of land in Mayapur. He also informed him of his plan to build a Vedic planetarium to exhibit the different planetary systems. Dr. Patel said he had recently read a news article wherein Russian scientists were prepared to accept that there are other planets in the cosmos and that have human life. He thought that the Russian interest in Vedic culture would eventually bring about an end to the purely materialistic philosophy of Marx, replacing it with the idea of spiritual communism. He declared that in another 20 years, communism would be as watered down in Russia as it presently is in India. When Guru Das Maharaj said, absenteeism from work is the biggest problem in Russia, Prabhupada joined in with a short story to illustrate the problem of centralization. There is a story in Bengal. A woman had 7 sons. The mother requested her first son, "My dear boy, now I am going to die. Take me to the Ganges side." He said, "Why? You have got so many other sons. Why you are requesting me?" And then the second son, third. Everyone said like that, and she died without Ganga. So this communism is like that. Everyone has to work. And he thinks that why I shall work, let him work. No work today. Dr. Patel conjectured that it is therefore important for individuals to have a sense of possession. Even with all of our philosophical understanding that we are not the body, we still have the sense that we possess a body. This concept is difficult even for aspiring devotees to give up, what to speak of the Russians. Prabhupada, however, pointed out that spiritually there is a higher sense of possession. Everything is possessed by God. That is perfection. Class was on the verse Brahmachari Guru Kvele Vasandanto Gurur Hitam from Srimad Bhagavatam 7.12.1. In the temple setting of Sri Sri Radha Rasa Bihari's temporary open-sided tin-roofed temple, now looking more inadequate than ever as the very large complex rises by its side, Prabhupada delivered a strong lecture. He emphasized the need for tapasya or austerity in human life. He said that Vedic culture means to control the senses, especially the sex urge, because sex is the highest material pleasure. One should therefore learn to learn the life of brahmacharya, celibacy, from the Guru. However, if one becomes a devotee, his taste for material life automatically diminishes. Therefore, there is no need to practice brahmacharya as a discipline separate from devotional service. Yet, even advanced devotees are sometimes victimized by sex desire. Thus, he warned us that although mixing between men and women is inevitable, we must be very cautious. Therefore, you should be very, very careful. Very, very careful. Just like in our society, compulsorily we have to mix with women, not only women, very beautiful young girls. But if one is not agitated even in this association of beautiful women and girls, then he is to be considered Paramahamsa. He is very advanced. Paramahamsa means he is above all these material qualities. So we cannot avoid in our Krishna consciousness movement. That was the problem from the very beginning. In India there is restriction between men and women. free intermingling, but in your country there is no such restriction. Therefore I got my disciples married. They criticize me that I have become a marriage maker. Anyway, I wanted at least to regulate. That is required. Prabhupada explained that if a man gets married and sticks to one wife, and if he takes permission from his spiritual master before having sex, observing the garbhadhana samskara or purificatory rites, then he is also considered a brahmachari. He said the ability to observe the brahmachari standards depends on the relationship between the guru and disciple. This can be possible when one is very thickly related with the guru. Otherwise, ordinary relationship will not do. One who is convinced that if I can please my guru, then Krishna will be pleased. This is called sutaridha, full faith. And if I displease my guru, then I have no place. Of course, guru cannot be a false guru. False guru has no such thing. If guru is genuine and the disciple is genuine, then both of them are benefited and they go back to home, back to Godhead. Thank you very much. So very interesting. We just a few days ago recently talked a little bit about this topic, and Srila Prabhupada here mentions very interesting words, that the relationship with the guru is ideally very, very thick, he says. If one is thickly related to the guru, something like that. So that reminds me of our discussion we had recently. Sometimes we can observe that devotees or initiated devotees, they show the mood and the attitude that they might know better than their guru, especially when it is about living somewhere in a sacred place in India where very advanced devotees are residing, like Vrindavan, Radhakund and so on. The guru might tell us that is not yet for us. We have a mission here, we are a preaching movement, but the disciple or the devotee might know better, and he anyway goes there and moves there, maybe even telling the guru before, or even not at all telling the guru, just doing it. But that is immediately the cause of fall down, as Srila Prabhupada says. If you think you know better than the guru, then immediately fall down. And on the other hand, this thick relationship, which we heard, is so important that we must have faith in our guru in that regard, that we can ask him anything and ask him anything before we do any decision. And we have faith that whatever our guru gives us as an answer or instruction, if we follow that, that is to our best. Instead of thinking, no, I might not ask or might not go to my guru, but I just do by myself. No? So this is the challenge we all have, that we understand the importance of our guru, spiritual master, and do we cultivate that relationship with our guru and spiritual master? This extreme and intense friendship, so to say. I remember one very well-known disciple or very well-known devotee in this movement, a book distributor, when he talks about his Guru Maharaj and his relationship with his Guru Maharaj, he got into this situation where his first, so to say, his first guru left, and he took a re-initiation then from another guru. And when he described this relationship with his second guru, then so to say, he said his Guru Maharaj told him, first of all, you have to understand, I'm your friend. That's the first understanding. And then he continued, But first of all, you have to understand, our guru is our best friend, and the best friend we can have is a representative of Krishna, and we have to cultivate this very intimate and strong relationship with him in that regard that we don't hesitate to ask him anything and reveal to him anything. And when we manage this and have this faith, then also it is said that kind of when difficulties or obstacles or anarthas presented to a spiritual master, to the guru, or to a pure devotee of the Lord, these obstacles and anarthas and so on, they cannot exist any longer. So they vanquish. In front of a pure devotee, so in front of a Guru Maharaj, when we presented so honestly our troubles and our problems, then they will vanish, they will go away. So this is, so to say, the secret to success in our spiritual life, to have so much faith and such a good relationship to the spiritual master, that we always rely on his advices and his guidance and never think we might know better by ourselves. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So then before we continue with Srimad Bhagavatam, someone would like to ask something or say in this connection? No. Then we just continue. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter number 20. Yesterday we read verse number 7 for the second time. Maharaj yesterday repeated a verse which Kavichandra Maharaj also read already. So then today we read verse number 8. Yes?
Sorry, Prabhu, just now was kind of putting together the question. I would like to ask.
Okay.
So once I heard, we are giving this famous example that if in darkness we see a snake in the ground, on the ground, snake, but the spiritual master he tells us no, it's just a rope, right? And then we are free of this fear because our spiritual master said that it is a rope, it's not a snake, so we don't need to fear anymore. But what in the situation that it might be a snake, and our spiritual master say, oh, it's a rope, he might not see good or something, so can we also say, no, Guru Maharaj is really a snake, and to, in a way of protecting? Is there in this relationship also kind of way that to open, from an open consideration?
Thank you.
I don't know if it makes sense.
So is in this relationship with the spiritual master also a space or a space for kind of correction from the side of the disciple, so to say? It's very interesting. It reminds me on one lecture I just recently heard, and there it is confirmed. Yes, it's in this lecture. The topic of this lecture was the recent fall down of one of most senior devotees, maybe in this movement, a sannyasi who was sannyas for more than 50 years, and his fall down was very kind of tragic. And one ISKCON sannyasi and guru gave a lecture on this occasion, and he made the point in his lecture that therefore, as we heard also, Prabhupada said, this mixing women and men, we should be very careful. And also in that point, this sannyasi made the point that if the disciple has the duty and should even tell his Guru Maharaj when he is alone with a woman or something like that, he should even correct. He should tell him, Guru Maharaj, you are alone here with a woman in a room. This is not okay. Be careful. So he made that point. Very interesting point. So this comes from a very advanced devotee in our movement. So I just repeated that in regard to this question. If you are more interested, I can give you this lecture and you can listen to it yourself. Yeah, but that comes to my mind. Yeah, you want to say something?
I have also a question about this topic. So, what do we do if we don't have a diksha? Do we have, does we then still talk about our problems with any spiritual master? Or should we stick to our shiksha gurus, authorities, and so on?
Yes, we have I mean, we have already connection with Guru. Of course, first of all, there is Prabhupada. Prabhupada is already there. And we can pray to Prabhupada. We can, a nice way also to present our problems or troubles is, for example, to write letters. So we can also present this already to Srila Prabhupada in that way. So it depends on your attitude, your honesty, your seriousness, your sincerity. And that is one way. And we should have many Shiksha Gurus. We need as much help as possible. So, but this faith is important. You can get also a damage from revealing yourself very intimately to a person which later on turns out to be not so favorable towards you. So that can also become very tragic. So that in that regard also we should be careful. To reveal oneself to, if you do not yet have a Diksha Guru, then a senior devotee who we really trust, and or a Shiksha Guru. Yes, cultivating that relationship already now. So even if there is not yet a Diksha Guru, it's very good if we can do that. Otherwise, Srila Prabhupada is always here, and we can always turn towards Prabhupada in our prayers and in our effort to ask for guidance. And at least I can confirm that it's very sometimes miraculous and mystical how the answer comes, especially when reading Prabhupada's books. You have a very intense question in your spiritual life, and you read Prabhupada's books, and suddenly at a certain page, in a certain line, you find exactly the words which are giving you the answers. So there is already a possibility to have such an enlightening exchange already now. So if you have a book, Prabhupada says you have a guru. So if you follow the instructions of the guru, you will make spiritual advancement. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ya evam santam atmanam atmastam veda purushaha nachyate prakritistopi tat gunaisa mayi stitaha. Ya evam santam atmanam atmastam veda purushaha nachyate prakritistopi tat gunaisa mayi stitaha. Ya evam santam atmanam atmastam veda purushaha jayate prakritistopi tat gunaisa mayi stitaha. Please. Ya evam santam atmanam atmastam veda purushaha nachyate prakritistopi tat gunaisa mayi stitaha. Ya evam santam atmanam Mataji? Yes. Tat gunai samayistitaha. Matajis? Ya evam santam atmanam atmastam veda purushaha nachyate prakriti stopi tat gunai samayistitaha. Ya evam santam atmanam atmastam veda purushaha nachyate prakriti stopi tat gunai samayistitaha. Yaha, anyone who, evam, thus, santam, existing, atmanam, the individual, Atma and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Param Atma, Atmastam, situated within this body, Veda, knows, Purushaha, person, Na, never, Achyate, is affected, Prakriti, in material nature, Staha, situated, Api, although, Tat Gunaihi, by the material modes of nature, Saha, such a person, Mayi, in me, Stitaha, situated. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Although within the material nature, one who is thus situated in full knowledge of the Paramatma and Atma is never affected by the modes of material nature, for he is always situated in my transcendental loving service. Purport. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in this material world, he is not affected by the modes of material nature. Similarly, those who are always connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though they be within the material body or the material world, are not affected by the material qualities. That is explained very nicely in Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Mam cha yo vyapicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan pramapuyaya kalpate. One who is unflinchingly engaged in the devotional service of the Lord surpasses the material qualities and attains Brahman realization. In this connection, Srila Rupa Goswami says that if a person is always engaged in the service of the Lord with his body, words and mind, he is to be considered liberated, although living in the material world. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Smayam Rupa Gadam Hayam Tadati Swapadandikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ya evam santam atmanam, atmastam veda purushaha, nachyate prakriti stopi, tat gunai samayistitaha. Although within the material nature, one who is thus situated in full knowledge of the Paramatma and Atma is never affected by the modes of material nature, for he is always situated in my transcendental loving service. So with the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, we want to discuss this verse, which is very, very similar to the present position where we are in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 7. And there Krishna, he speaks also of the modes of material nature. And when we talked about these verses yesterday, the question came up in my mind. I wanted to kind of have confirmed my opinion that this principle or this philosophical understanding of the material world, that the material world means a combination of these so-called three modes of material nature, the gunas, tamaguna, rajoguna, sattvaguna, goodness, ignorance and passion. We don't find it anywhere else in any kind of religion or philosophy, what Krishna presents us in this regard. And simultaneously, Krishna points out again and again, and also proves that he himself is not under the influence of these forces or of these laws in the material world, the laws of the modes of material nature. So in the 7th chapter, there Krishna says, first in verse 12 he says, know that all states of being, be they in goodness, passion or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. So Krishna is not under the influence of the three modes of material nature. And those who are under the influence of material nature, meaning us, fallen conditioned souls in the material world, they, deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. And here we, in this purport of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have, so to say, the proof for this. What is the proof for this? That one who is engaged in Krishna's transcendent and loving service immediately, actually this verse says, Mam chayova vicharana bhakti yogena sevate, that immediately is free from the modes of material nature and he's on a liberated platform. So he elevates himself above these laws of the material world, the three gunas, by engaging himself in the service of the Lord. How can then Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord, be under the influence of the modes of material nature? That would not make sense. So he is transcendental. And Srila Rupa Goswami mentions then, or Srila Prabhupada mentions that Rupa Goswami gives the explanation here of Jivan Mukta. And we also want to read this verse. This is from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-187. Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasa gira nikilasu api avastasu jivan mukta sa uchyate. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna, with his body, mind, intelligence and words, is a liberated person even within the material world, although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities. This is the definition and explanation of a Jiva Mukta, a personality who seemingly exists in this material world as any other living being, but actually he is a completely liberated soul, not affected by the modes of material nature. And this verse of the Bhagavatam reminds us, or at least reminded me, of course, of the 10th verse in the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Brahmani adhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karotiya lipyate nasa papena padma padaram ivampasa. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. So even it seems that such a personality also is active maybe even on a material platform, it may seem, but because he performs his duties without attachment, and because he surrenders the results to the Supreme Lord, he is unaffected by papena. And we know this word, papa. Papa means sin. What are the first words which a baby learns in our region here? Which two words are the first words? Papa and Mama. Papa is sin and Mama is mine. And meins und Papa, sin. But we know here in Simhachalam it's a little bit different. At least to my impression, it's like this, that most babies, one of the first words they learn is Prabhupada. Isn't it? Do you also have this impression? One of the first things, Prabhupada. So this is very auspicious. There is already a difference, we can see. So, but Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains that in this verse, this word papena, which Prabhupada explains with translates with sinful action, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says it means generally all actions, not only sin. He says, papena here represents all actions, not just sinful ones. So, such a person is untouched by all kinds of material contamination, and a comparison is given to a lotus leaf. We have already mentioned several times, lotus leaves, they have this extraordinary quality. If you drop water or any other liquid substance on them, any other liquid substance, for example, like honey or any other paste, jam or whatever, you can really observe that it does not stick on the leaf. It just flows from the leaf. There remains no contamination on this leaf, and even so-called scientists and so on, they want to imitate this effect. For example, by building kitchens and so on. Just imagine you're a housewife and you have a kitchen where no honey, no sticky stuff remains on the surface, but you can easily wash it away. So that would be wonderful, and Krishna already did it by producing the lotus leaves. And we can compare a person who lives in the material world, seemingly, but who is active in Krishna consciousness, that in a similar way, he is untouched by papa, sinful actions, but generally seen material reactions and material contamination. This is the meaning of this. So how then, when one engages in the service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then how could then Sri Krishna be a normal personality? No, he is completely transcendental from this material world, and free from. We can choose. We know that in that regard, our motto is whether you serve God or you serve dog. So we can choose. So these are all reasons why it's very wonderful to choose to be a servant of Krishna, This is very convincing. We all want to come to the freedom, become free from this material entanglement. And the other option is not so nice, to become a servant of dog. And in that regard, I want to show you my most astonishing experience on our recent Sankirtan tour. We were again on the streets and distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. And in the past years, I already experienced many kind of funny excuses why a person does not want to take a book or does not want to become a servant of Krishna, so to say, and want to surrender to Krishna. But this time I got one of the most funniest and astonishing excuses from such a person on the street when I offered her the book. I wanted to stop her and say, "Excuse me, you're also from here, from outside?" And I showed her the book and she told me, "Oh, no, I don't have time. I have to pick up my dog from the barber." And she was completely serious about it, as if it was the normalest thing in life. My dog is just at the barber, I have to pick him up, so I don't have time for this, And she just went her way, and I thought a little bit about it. It was, wow, that's pretty heavy, That's pretty heavy. But she meant it. So we can choose serve dog or serve God. That was a very nice confirmation for me. So of course nowadays to serve dog means a lot more than we can imagine. But the basic principle is it's not really satisfying. It might not seem that it's abominable and sinful or whatever, but actually it is. So in order to become free from this entanglement, there is this wonderful way of becoming a servant of Krishna, chanting Krishna's holy name, taking prasadam with the devotees, singing and dancing. Like yesterday, we sang or heard about a few other songs, Vaishnava songs, very nice to sing these songs. It's very nourishing. Your devotion becomes very nourished when you hear these songs and when you make the effort to also to sing along. And that's wonderful. So we have this wonderful opportunity, and we should use that and not become a servant of our dog in such a really strange way. So, because I was quite spontaneously asked to talk something today, I will now end here. I don't want to do it unnecessarily any longer. And if you have some experience from your side, or you want to ask a question, or want to add something, then please do so now. Yes, Gopi Gita, Mataji.
Thank you for your lecture. I was listening online and found it so interesting I decided to come here. And on the last point about serving God or dogs, sometimes growing up in a European place, one is quite used to actually having dogs as pets. And like I was in Serbia one time for a camp with Jayapataka Swami many years ago, and Satchinanda Swami, and there was always a dog who turned up, not just for prasadam, but as soon as the kirtan began in the evening, this dog would turn up, and sort of howl with the kirtan each day. Mm-hmm. And also sometimes devotees maybe, I grew up quite strict, so we always had this parrot and deer story, so the idea of house pets was basically not allowed. But generally, the idea of serving dog instead of God is on this higher principle, right? That like this lady taking her dog to the barber, that's all she can think about. Her main purpose in life is her dog. But on the other side, sometimes as devotees, if we grew up, I also had, there was somebody I knew with a dog. She had him before she was a devotee. So afterwards, she also didn't want to just abandon the dog that somehow was in her karma. And so with dogs, they can be vegetarian and they can have prasadam and there's different things. I mean, it's not that it has to be so right, black or white. Oh, sorry, just your input on this would be appreciated.
So how do we deal with our karma regarding pets when we become Krishna conscious and we still have our pets? How do we deal with that? Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, that's quite some entanglement we went into, and many times it does not go well along with Krishna conscious. We know Prabhupada, when Prabhupada was in America, there is this story when he was there in one apartment at home of a friend or a becoming devotee or whatever, then a cat would jump on his lap or something like that, and Prabhupada would like kind of put it away, you know. So it was not really desirable. So they might not go along well together. But on the other hand, we also, when we read the scriptures, we get this impression that it's in Krishna consciousness you can benefit every living entity, including the animals. Even they should be given prasadam, and when they hear the holy name, they make advancement. For example, also even here we have the experience that some pets and dogs, they were observing how the Shila Puja is performed. Yeah? And then it reminds us of the dog of Shivananda Sena and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, and that's very nice how then in our mind, in our thoughts, we dive into these leelas actually. So it can be also, I would say, it can be very inspiring to elevate such living entities by the association. Might be prasadam, might be the holy name, might be even some kind of service they do. You can train dogs. They could even do some seva, sankita, whatever. So yeah, and but on the other hand, it's could be too much entanglement, and then we have to think how to say, give it away, you know. So I personally don't have this experience. I had pets when I was young. I had rats. Also very appropriate to our situation. So a little experience with rats, but I had very good experience. I liked them. They're very funny. They're very intelligent and pretty cool animals. And but then when I became a devotee, then they were not there anymore. So that was not a big problem. But yeah, there's many ways how to also connect them with Krishna consciousness. Yeah, they might not basically eat prasadam. They have to eat meat and so on, but they don't commit sin when doing so. So, and it's a chance for such a living entity to come in contact with Krishna. And yeah, I don't know, some things come into my mind regarding that. Maybe you can teach a parrot how to chant Hare Krishna. I'm sure that's possible. It's pretty funny, huh? You come into the apartment and the papagaya is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Also funny. And yeah. Someone else can add something to this? Yes, please.
I know about in the autobiography of the yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda talked about the story of a Swami who had a female lion who eats vegetarian food and not meat. He was dressed to eat vegetarian food, and when he was, I don't know how to say, crying, so normally when lions say something, they are like raw, but out of his mouth there came the word Om. So he dressed him to chant the mantra Om and to eat vegetarian food. And that's very interesting that in the company of a holy person, an animal can change like this. So normally from nature it's not possible or not usual that an animal like a lion eats vegetarian food, normally it eats meat and is not saying Om when it says something, but only, I don't know how to say, crying. Yeah, and that's very interesting to see. And there's another story. I don't know how to say re. What's re?
A deer.
What?
A deer.
Deer?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. And he told that he had a deer, and one of his devotees, when he was traveling to, I don't know where, he must go on to travel, and one of his devotees make a mistake, such a mistake that the deer was dying. He gave him, I think, the wrong food. And when he was coming back, he asked them to do the right, how it was going with the deer. And their devotees, some of them came to him and said, "Yeah, you must come. There's catastrophe. This deer is dying." And at this night, Paramahansa Yogana, he was very attached to this deer. And he was a little bit, disappointed about his devotee because he told so many times before not to give him the wrong food. But it happened, and in the night, in his dream, the deer appeared and said to him, "Please let me go, because I must evolve. So my next birth would be in a higher incarnation. So when you are attached to me, I must be longer in this material world, in this body of a deer. So please let me go." And it shows him, he said it was so surprising to him that on this transcendental level, it's not only we see that there's a beloved animal that we have is dying, but on this transcendental level, for the soul, it's important to go to evolve in a higher birth at next.
Thank you. Yeah, but it just comes into my mind, certain pictures you can observe on internet, like a haan, what's a haan? A cock bowing down before Jagannath. Maybe you have seen this. It's very funny. I just recently saw it somewhere, and then it's a cock in front of Jagannath. It's a small Jagannath deity, and the cock is standing before, and really quite some time, maybe a minute even, that he's with his head bowed down in front of Jagannath, and you watch him and he's continuing. That's really not normal. It's like really not like by accident. There's some really mystical, it's like a devotee actually in the body of such an animal. And it would be interesting, what came now into my mind is to collect such stories. In India we have many such stories. We hear like elephants, they're coming and they're bowing down, or cows coming into the temple room and there is kirtan or whatever, or dogs coming, just listening to the lecture at that moment, and there you see there must be something. This is really very, very special. Would be interesting to collect such stories from these animals which show this devotional mood and hear about it. It's pretty cool. Oh, really?
Different animals which have this.
Okay. Chai, nice. Please give me if you have it.
I will look for it.
Nice. Yes, Vidasara wanted to say something.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to say this. There's this book of Maharaj, Janananda Maharaj, Animals in Krishna Consciousness.
Oh.
And it's very funny written. He's writing from the perspective of a worm and talking to another insect or something, and the other insect is complaining that all the humans treat them, mistreat them, and then the worm is explaining, no, there are also other humans, I tell you some stories, and then he's telling these stories of these animals, and it's very heart-touching, because sometimes these animals are more eager to see the Lord and to make devotional service than some devotees, and it's amazing, the stories, like really, as you were saying, like dogs who frequently go every day at the same time into the temple room and make full dandavat, and their special most dear food is halava, or stories like this, very amazing. Or a cow who shows up every time to the same time to the lecture, but only when it's in Hindi. When it's in English, she's annoyed, and she doesn't know what to do, and then she leaves because she doesn't understand, or things like this. Like really amazing, and it's amazing how he writes this. It's very inspiring to hear.
Jai, thank you. It sounds very also convincing, and it nourishes the faith in Krishna and the spiritual platform, and that the soul is not the body.
Yeah, and actually, for some animals, the devotees also gave them like spiritual names and treated them also as devotees, and they left like this, and they made a ceremony for them and everything. So there are really special animal souls out there.
Jai. Thank you very much. One more question. Yep.
Hare Krishna. Well, and the most famous example is Lord Chaitanya was dancing in the Jharkhand, right? Maybe you heard the story as Lord Chaitanya was chanting and dancing with the animals of jungle of Jharkhand. They were chanting with him Hare Krishna, elephants and tigers. But my question would be, Prabhu, back to the verse. So it says, if one is engaged in devotional service, he is free of material nature, of the moods of material nature, and that's confirmed as you say in Bhagavad Gita. I can't recall the Sanskrit now, but anyway, we know what the verse is. So we as devotees are living in a temple, in ashram, those who are, so we still might, even though having Mangalarati and this program, that program, this seva and that seva, chanting our 16 rounds. So more or less our life is engaged in service. But still, there are these moods of material nature. We say, oh, Prabhu, you are in Tamaguna today, you're sleepy like this, or Rajaguna, you're running like this. So how is it so that even though we are engaged in service, we are living in a temple, in a holy place, still these moods are acting?
Yes. So in the third canto also we have this description that there is devotional service under the influence of the modes of material nature. For example, if someone is in Tamaguna, he, especially the word separatist is given. He is like excluding others. There's the Lord, this is my Lord, but this devotee and that devotee, this is like separating. So there is an influence of Tamaguna like this. So especially referring to deity worship. If someone worships the deity under the influence of Tamaguna, then he shows this and this moods and qualities and characteristics. So there is a difference. But we are meant to make progress, to elevate, and not stay on the lower regions. So and therefore we have a wonderful and best example in Srila Prabhupada, how he practices Krishna consciousness, and he also told to his disciples, when they asked him, Srila Prabhupada, I'm not yet a pure devotee, and Prabhupada was asked, why not? And then the devotee was, how can I do? I don't know. And Prabhupada said, do as I am doing. So Prabhupada gave a wonderful example. We have this wonderful example of the highest stage. And we have the possibility to follow and also come on that platform, hopefully, if we are blessed someday. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Ita Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Habe ich mir angehört, die Lecture. Starker Point.
Ja, auf jeden Fall.